Okay, welcome everyone. Today's topic is the coronavirus impact on the distressed market. Okay, so I asked our team to do an in-depth research of the impact of COVID-19 in real estate, and not only that, but I'm going to give you the strategies that you need to take on moving forward and what to expect. Okay, so it's going to be super amazing. I'm super excited. So let's dive into it right now. So first of all, let's look at the impact. I'm going to show you the impact of COVID-19 in real estate throughout the United States. Now, the states in red have been impacted the most. So as you can see, the East Coast, northeastern Illinois, Florida, and some areas in California have been impacted the most. Okay, so this is like a zoom in version of the Midwest and the East Coast. So East Coast, Florida, northeastern Illinois have been impacted the most. Now let's take a look at the anatomy of the foreclosure process and what's happening right now and what you should expect in the foreclosure process. So let's just take a look at how this whole thing started and where it's taking us as far as the real estate. So March 2020, the beginning of COVID-19, right? So this is where the crisis started. Unemployment started to rise. So as of right now, unemployment rate is the highest in history, 25% unemployment rate, okay? People who cannot pay their mortgage. So they created the forbearance program, okay? So forbearance program is gonna be up to 12 months as it's shown on the screen, no documentation needed. And then not only that, but the government added 600 additional per week for unemployment benefits. The sad story is that this ended as of like week and a half ago, July 31st. Okay, so you're gonna start to see that people, even before, right? They chose not to work. Why? Because they were making more money with unemployment, right? So even companies struggle to get people back into the workforce. But now that this extra incentive of $600 per week is gone, you're going to start to see more people going back to work. Now, something that is very critical. Let's talk about forbearance, right? So that you have a full understanding of what this means. It says no documentation needed. So what it means is that people who lost their job and who could not afford to pay their mortgage payment were given the option to skip 6 payments. But at the end of the 6 months, they have to pay the mortgage for all those 6 months, okay? So it's not a forgiveness, okay? It's just deferment of mortgage payments. Very important to understand. And they can reapply for forbearance twice. So it's an extension of 12 months. Now, what's happening right now, August? So the foreclosure proceedings are halted until the end of August. That's when the courts are expected to reopen, end of August. Okay, so as of right now, no foreclosure filings have occurred at this point. And I'm going to show you the number of foreclosures that are just about to come in the next few months. Okay, now next, what's going to happen by the end of the year? So by then, the courts have already opened. So a lot of foreclosures are going to be coming down the pipe. And these foreclosures are primarily for people who were already in distress, and with coronavirus, they just couldn't afford to make the payments, and they are not in forbearance. So you're going to see a rise in foreclosure filings, okay, towards the end of the year. Now, why towards the end of the year? Because do this. March, April, that's when most people started to really suffer after unemployment or after they got laid off. So they applied for forbearance. So add 6, 7 months to March. So they're going to be somewhere in September, October. But now what's going to happen is that we have elections coming up. So things are going to be very, very stable till then. And that is why all these incentives from the government. So Trump wants stability. He wants to fuel the economy with incentives, obviously for him to get reelected. But as of the end of the year, the filings for foreclosures are going to happen very aggressively. So you're going to see a huge wave of filings for pre-foreclosures starting towards the end of the year. Now, what does that mean? Let's take a look at the foreclosures, okay? So we went back as far as 2008. So why is this so important for you to understand? So this is when the burst happened, right, in 2008. Now, two factors made the burst of 2008. Number one, there was a 13% unemployment rate, okay, the second highest in history. And not only that, but obviously prices were super inflated, a lot of speculation. So that right away caused a lot of foreclosures to be filed. Why? Because the government didn't step in right away. So there were a lot of foreclosures happening right in 2008, 2009, okay? Now, what happens when foreclosures start to rise? When foreclosures start to rise, then property prices will start to drop, okay? And at that point, rates were low, but not as low as right now. So now the difference is that today, you're not gonna see many foreclosures as of right now, but towards the end of the year, after elections, you're gonna see a huge wave of foreclosures. I'm gonna show you the forecast of the foreclosures happening towards the end of the year in the next slide. So right now, you're gonna see that nothing is happening right now. And not only that, but home sales have dropped up to 20 to 30% in the last 4 months, okay? But towards the end of the year, early next year, so by the end of the spring 2021, you're gonna see a huge rise of foreclosures, okay? All these people who file for forbearance and are still unemployed, they're gonna be filing for foreclosure. But remember, forbearance can take up to 12 months. So if they file right in March or April, add 12 months. So by the end of spring 2021, so that means end of March, beginning of April, the forbearance period is over. And if people cannot afford to make up for 6 or 12 months worth of mortgage payments, guess what's going to happen? They're going to go into foreclosures. That is why March 2021, April 2021 comes, boom, you're going to see a tsunami wave of foreclosures, because right now 12% of homeowners are in forbearance. That's an astronomical number, okay? So what's going to happen in March 2021? You're going to immediately start to see property prices drop, okay? They're expected to drop in the next 12 to 18 months, no more than 20 to 30%. So pre-COVID, if a property was worth 100,000, by 2021 spring or towards the end of the year 2021, the same property could be worth 75 to $80,000, the same property, which means that there are going to be tons of great opportunities for investors like yourself. If you're thinking about doing wholesales, there's going to be a huge number of distressed owners, so huge opportunity for wholesalers. And the same is going to happen for investors, buy and hold. Okay, there's going to be so many great deals coming down the pipe in the next 6 to 12 months. Okay, so what you need to focus on right now is two things. Make sure that you line up funding. Okay, you stash cash because liquidity is going to be super important. Okay, so once you line up funding, deals are going to be coming left and right early next year. Okay, that's going to be due to the foreclosure filings coming towards the end of the year, early spring. So huge opportunity. So right now is the time for you to not only line up funding, stash up cash, but sharpen your soul. Join webinars. Come to our live events coming up this Saturday and our bootcamp end of the month. Okay, so we're gonna give you the A through Z blueprint of everything you need to know about flipping, rentals, and wholesaling. Okay, so you have to really take a step back and learn, get trained. So that's what's going to happen, and that's what's expected to happen for 2021 through 2025. Okay, now what's going to happen to the purchase activity? As I said before, in the last 4 to 6 months, property sales activity have significantly dropped by 20 to 30%. Okay, sales have been down, but you may wonder, so why still property prices are holding high? The reason is because we still have a shortage of real estate inventory. Okay, there's a shortage, so there are more buyers than properties available. That is why property prices are still holding strong, but that's going to change towards the end of the year, early next year. Property prices are going to drop. Why? Because there's going to be a huge now injection or surplus of inventory coming down the pipe next year. Okay, so that's going to make a correction in property prices. But again, it's not going to be greater than 20-25%. Okay, so don't expect a huge drop like we did see in 2008, 2009. It's not going to be nowhere near that. Okay, but again, all this is driven by unemployment. Now, let's talk about interest rates. Interest rates are historically low right now. So the government is pushing down the interest rate. So what happens when interest rates are so low? That means that the purchasing power of buyers is higher. They can buy more houses for less money, right? Because interest rate is like right now 3.5, 4.5. Okay, so what's going to happen is that you're going to see more buyers coming into the market. So they're, since you have more buyers, they're also helping hold property prices high. That is why, even though we're in a recession, property prices are not going to drop more than 25%. Super important to keep in mind. So next, when you have interest rates being so low, like right now, there's going to be a huge increase in refinances because people want to pay less interest. So as you can see right now, 2020, okay, the remaining of 2020, the refinances rate have skyrocketed. Why? Because people want to lock in at a lower interest rate. In fact, we are refinancing 5 properties as we speak right now. Why? Because we want to lock in the lower interest rate. So we want to be in the upper 4s, lower 5%. It is that attractive. So right now, if you have a property that you have equity, what you can do is you can do 2 things. You can refinance to put it into a lower rental interest rate loan, or you can tap into your equity, okay? Because remember, you're gonna need to have reserves. You're gonna need to be liquid. So if you have equity in your property, banks are gonna require at least 25 to 30% equity. So let's assume that you have a property worth 200,000, right? and you only owe 100,000 in that property. That means that you can tap into at least 50,000, okay, equity. So you can do a cash out refinance on that property up to 50,000, which is going to be awesome because you're going to be able to lock in a very low interest rate, and with that 50,000, you're going to be able to buy at least 2 to 3 properties. Okay, so super important right now is the time to refinance, stash cash, work on lining up funding, and make sure that you take care of your FICO score. Now, FICO score is not going to determine whether you get funding for your deals. No, your FICO score is going to determine the terms of your loan, meaning the interest rate. So if you have 700 and up, your interest rate is going to be lower with hard money lenders or private money lenders, because when you buy properties, you have to use asset-based lenders, meaning that hard money lenders or private money lenders are going to be focusing on the deal itself. So the property that you get on the contract has to have 3 elements. It has to have equity, it has to have cash flow if you're going to buy and hold, and it has to meet the debt coverage ratio of 1.2. What that means is that the bank wants you to have a 20% surplus of what you collect from the rents and your operating expenses. So if you collect 1,200 and your operating expenses, including your debt service, is 1,000, you have a surplus cash flow of 200. That's what they're expecting. They're expecting a 20% surplus cash flow in your deals. Okay, very simple. So that's what the banks are looking for: asset-based lenders, hard money lenders, and private money lenders. Okay. So having said that, I want to make sure that you fully understand what you need to do next, and I will quickly summarize what's happening. I like this slide of the timeline of what's going to happen next. So remember, before the end of the year, things are going to remain stable, especially before elections. But end of the year 2020, early spring, you're going to see a huge number of opportunities for you wholesalers or investors, okay? Because the filings for foreclosures are going to be a tsunami wave. Why? Because by then, forbearance will be over, okay? And if people are still unemployed right now, 25% unemployment rate, guess what? They're going to have hundreds of thousands of foreclosures coming down the pipe. So right now, think about this. Imagine for wholesalers, this is like a gold mine, because all these distressed owners, unless they come current with the mortgage payments, guess what? They're going to lose their property. So there are going to be a lot of homeowners who have a lot of equity, okay? But yet, they cannot afford to pay the mortgage. So they're going to eventually enter the foreclosure process unless you and I come help them. Okay, how are we going to be able to help them? In ChicagoDealVault, we have already updated the list of pre-foreclosures. So people who are already missing payments, you're going to see that in the pre-foreclosure lead pipe. So those people are going to be critical for you to help. Why? Because if they don't do anything, eventually everyone is going to lose. They're going to lose their home. The bank is going to lose a lot of money, and they're going to ruin their credit, and we don't get any great deals. So there's going to be huge opportunities for you investors. So I'm so happy that you are sharpening your soul right now, learning. And then again, foreclosures, huge wave coming down the pipe. What you need to do right now is stash cash, focus on wholesaling, buy and hold, avoid flips. Why do you think you need to avoid flips? Because property prices are going to come down, so flips are going to be very risky right now, unless you get a property with a lot of equity that you have enough meeting the bond, right? For property prices to come down. Because if right now you do an appraisal, by the time you finish your rehab, your appraisal will be sort of obsolete. So you need to account for a 5 to 10% drop if you start a flip right now, coming down in the next 2 to 3 months. Okay, so Not only that, but people right now are skeptical because elections, unemployment. So just be careful if you engage in a flip. Now, when you focus on wholesaling and rentals, please make sure that you focus in great areas like A areas or bread and butter areas. Why? Because people who live in those areas are white collar, so they were affected, but they still have a job, right? So they get to work remotely, they work from home, which is nice. But areas that are challenging or like the Wild West, please be very cautious because those areas have been affected the most. People have lost their jobs. So if you want to buy a rental, you might not get collectible tenants, okay? And if you want to do a flip, you might not be able to get top dollars for your flip. So be very cautious on the areas. Right now, the areas to focus are top A areas or A minus, so the numbers work better, and B plus areas, B minus areas, bread and butter. So that pretty much gives you an idea of what's coming down the pipe. What you need to do now, very simple. Take care of your FICO score to get better terms, stash cash, refinance, and then if you have enough equity in your property, please do a cash out, even if it's 15, 20, 30,000, because not only are you going to put your property in a lower interest rate, but you're going to have liquidity, which you're going to require when you're ready to pull the trigger and then just capture awesome, great home run deals that are coming down the pipe, okay? And then also, remember to focus on rentals and wholesaling. Be very cautious about flips, extremely risky right now. We're not doing any flips. Everything we're doing right now is buy and hold. Okay, now, are there any questions on the line? Brenda, I would not say people did not go back to work because they were making more. Many of the jobs were not available for people. Yeah, so right now, for those people who are unemployed, 20 to 30% of the lost jobs will never come back. So we're going to be in a very difficult situation in the upcoming year. I mean, a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to lose their jobs and then eventually their homes. But that's where we come into the picture to help them. And if we miss the opportunity to help those homeowners in distress, then we're going to be able to buy great off-market banked-on properties with a great profit margin. Okay, so I'm super excited about what's coming down the pipe. And in fact, we're still moving forward. Properties that we are buying that we bought in the last month, we bought 2 properties. If they have enough equity, by all means, go for it. Even though you know property prices are going to continue to drop, no more than 20% in the next year or 18 months. If the numbers make sense, by all means, pull the trigger, okay? Action trumps knowledge. And in fact, we have a live event. We can have up to 50 people in this property that we bought a week and a half ago in Elmwood Park. So we're gonna show you step by step of how we found the property. We're gonna talk about the scope of work. You're gonna see the property. We're gonna network, and then we're gonna show you the rehab that we're planning on doing and the back end refinance and how we finance the property. So we're going to be talking about finding the deal, rehabbing, funding, and on the back end, how we're going to pretty much have very little money stuck into the property and have a cash flowing deal. So please make sure that you come to that event this Saturday. I'll send you the link shortly. Now, there's another question on how long do you estimate downturn will last? Okay, this is going to last at least for the next 2 to 3 years. Now, you may wonder why that long? So this is going to start to recover, and actually you can see it right here on the slide that I have on the screen. Things are going to start to settle. That's 2024, okay? So I estimate in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, the question is why that long? Because remember, Illinois is a judicial state, which means that the banks, if they want to foreclose on the homeowner, they have to go through the court system, meaning bureaucracy. So the foreclosure process in Illinois can take up to 2 years. So I told you earlier that a lot of filings for foreclosure are going to happen in March 2021 and April 2021, a huge wave. So add 2 years to that. So that's going to put you in spring of 2023, okay, at least, when things are going to be recycled back into the market. So by 2024, 2025, things are going to stabilize, okay? But we have to get into the game right now, okay? You don't need to wait till then, right now. So early next year, you're gonna start to see great, awesome deals coming down the pipe, okay? And those deals are gonna be coming, a lot of them are gonna be coming from wholesalers. Like top wholesalers are going to be already reaching out to these distressed owners with a lot of equity. Already, we're starting to see an increase in wholesale deals in ChicagoDealVault, okay? Wholesalers were able to capture these deals. You're gonna start to see those right now, okay? Are there any other questions? Because I want to make sure that you have a clear idea of what's coming down the pipe, okay? And not only that, but that you know what actions to take. Sharpen your saw, take care of your FICO score, stash cash. You need to have liquidity. If you have a property that you need to sell, sell it now. And if not, if you have a property that you have a lot of equity, refinance, okay, to put it into a lower interest rate. And you have the option to cash out, okay? Super important, okay? Because you are gonna need liquidity. Banks are requesting right now 10 to 15% down for any purchase. Hard money lenders, private money lenders, okay? So super important that you have savings. And as I told you earlier, please, to line up funding, make sure that you have your entity created, that you have applied for business credit cards, and that you have applied for line of credits from hard money lenders. And again, if you missed the last webinar, we are going to send you the list of credit cards that you can apply for your business and hard money lenders that can give you a line of credit or pre-approval letter or proof of funds. Super important, friends. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Friends, if you still don't have access to DealVault, we're gonna give it to you for free. But before we do that, make sure that you RSVP to this live event. This Saturday, Elmwood Park, it's a B+ area. So we're gonna go step by step how we found the property, rehab, and then how we're gonna do the back-end refinance to get a cash flowing property. So make sure that you RSVP live event. So we're gonna be there live, and also we're gonna have a professional photographer live streaming the presentation. So for those of you, if for whatever reason can't attend, you're gonna be able to join a webinar. We're gonna be streaming live. Super important. I would like you to be there in person. There are gonna be a lot of questions, a lot of people, up to 50 people. Okay, so make sure that you RSVP for that. And again, we're running a boot camp at the end of the month. Make sure that you join, okay? Boot camp, super important. We're planning on running this live if things continue the way they're happening. So make sure that you RSVP. We already have 52 RSVPs for this event. Now, if you don't have access to ChicagoDealVault, we're gonna give it to you for free tonight. So please make sure that for the package, you select special ChicagoDealVault, and then the promo code is CARES. Okay, please get access right now to ChicagoDealVault, RSVP to the events that I show you above.